Welcome to MidField SportsCast.
In our third episode of the Divided Friendship Podcast. And this episode is just me and Philly, and we have 3 topics on the agenda today. First one is our 5 dark horse teams. Second is 5 overrated teams. And third is questions from our socials. Instagram, TikTok. I think that's it.
Just Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yeah. All right.
Let's get this thing rolling.
Let's start with dark horse teams. You go first here.
Whoopsie daisies.
What is your first dark horse team or underrated team, whichever you want to say?
See, this team I wouldn't really call dark horse, but dark horse for the natty. Not just dark horse to be good, but my dark horse is Oregon. Went into depth on them first episode where I had them ranked number 4 in the country. And Bo Nix, he's a dog. Dan Lanning, he's a good coach. He'll grow in his second year.
All right. My first dark horse team is Penn State. They got Drew, Alar, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen. Solid defense. Great. Very good head coach. They're always third best in the Big Ten. They got to get over that hump a little bit, but I think they're going to be very good next year. It could be their best football team since they won the Big Ten title in 2016.
All right. My number 2, also going to go with Penn State. He just said everything. Good running back room. Really the highlight of their team. 2 true sophomores, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton. Nick Singleton went crazy his freshman year. One of the best freshman running back seasons we've seen in a second. And on to you.
My number 2 team in this list.
Oh my gosh. This list.
My number 2 team in this list is Washington. They have the second best wide receiver corps in college football. They have a veteran returning Michael Penix. They got an okay defense, but I think their offense will carry them, and they'll be very good. Most likely in the top 10 for most of the season.
Most likely. Could drop some games here and there. My number 3, I'm also going to go with another Pac-12 team. It's not Washington, though. We're going to go with Oregon State at number 3.
Interesting. DJ.
Had a very, very, very good year last year. Had solid quarterback play all year long. They'll have DJ this year. I think he's got the potential to be very good. And
very good MLB player.
He did get drafted. He can sling it. They went 10-3 last year, had a 10-win season for the first time in a little bit for their program. I think they can build off that. I really do. I think they could finish potentially as a top 15 team in the country. But then again, I could also see them being 6-6, 7-5. It just all depends on how good DJ Uyunglele does.
And he fits their system, in my opinion, very good. All right. I got Oklahoma State, which the last podcast I had them going 10-2 in our predictions. Most people will say 7-6, around that range. Or 8-4.
Not this guy.
7-6. What is 7-6? 7-5 or 8-4 is what some people say. I know I wrote 7-6.
What did you write?
They went 7-6 last season.
Sorry, there you go.
They have Alan Bowman from Texas Tech and Michigan. At quarterback. They always have a pretty good offense under their head coach. They have Kendall Daniels at safety. He's an All-American. I talked a lot about him in the last podcast. Most people would say in the 6-6 to 8-4 range. They have a new defensive coordinator, Brian Nardo, who brings in a 3-3-5. And I looked at their depth chart.
Big 12 style defense.
Looked at their projected starters, and they have 4 fifth-year seniors on the O-line. Ollie Gordon is the most likely running back and will be helped by the O-line, very veteran O-line. So I think they'll be pretty good next year.
All right, my number 4 in this, I wanted to try and include a group of 5 team in my dark horses. I think that they are the best Power 5 team, and they had a very good season last year, beating USC in the Cotton Bowl. I'm taking Tulane. Michael Pratt, very good quarterback. in the American. I think he can run the show again there. They do lose Tyjae Spears, who was a very dominant running back for them. He showed that in the bowl game against USC. But adding on to the defense, added some transfers, more veterans that will help the defense. I think that's what they need. All right.
All right, my fourth, I'm going with the Kansas Jayhawks.
Ooh.
6-7 last year. They returned Jalen Daniels and Jason Bean. I think his name's Jason. That's right. Yeah. Bean was pretty good last year, taking over for Daniels. Both very good at running the football. They don't lose much, but don't return. They don't recruit very high, so they're not getting a lot in return. I watched SG1 Sports had them going 8-4. I would say that range is fairly good, but I see them underrated again. I see Jalen Daniels having a very good year, coming back off that injury, and I like the Kansas Jayhawks.
All right. My number 5, going Ole Miss. Whatever quarterback they decide to play out of all the 17 good quarterbacks that they have that are playable, they could go Jackson Dart, very solid player. I think he started last year. I'm pretty sure he was their starter last year. You can go Spencer Sanders. You go that way, veteran presence. Played on a very good Oklahoma State team a couple years ago, was their quarterback. You go Walker Howard, LSU transfer. He's just his freshman year was last year. I'm not sure if he was a redshirt freshman or not, but his first year in college football was last year. I don't think they'll go to him. I think they'll stay with Jackson Dart, and I think he could probably go as a potential top quarterback in his draft class, top 3.
That's too good of a quarterback for him.
I know they don't need all those quarterbacks
because you know why they got him.
You can't play them all at one time. It's not like receivers or corners.
I just
you can
want to
only
say
play
this.
one at a time.
NIL definitely played a part. 5 now?
Yep.
All right. I'm going with North Carolina. They have Drake May returning, which most would say is the number 2 quarterback in college football right now. They return their starting running back. They have a good offensive-minded head coach. They had the 11th best recruiting class last year, which kind of surprised me. I feel like it would have been lower, but they had a 5-star offensive tackle, 5-star D lineman, 2 4-star receivers. They play South Carolina, Appy State, Minnesota.
South Carolina at College Game Day.
Yep. Their non-conference is South Carolina, Appy State, Minnesota. I can see them winning all 3 of those. The last 2 games of the year, they have at Clemson and at NC State. That's a pretty tough last 2 games, but I can see them going 10-2, 9-3. I think they're pretty underrated, but that's my 5th and final team.
All right, on to what we think are some overrated teams. Doesn't necessarily mean that they'll do terrible, but just means that perform under their expectations. Like my number 1 team, LSU. Most people think that they have a chance to make the college football playoffs this year. I think they really overperformed last season. I don't think they were as good as they played. Won some games that I don't think they should have, but they put themselves in good positions all season long. I could see a 8-4 season out of them, which again, that's not a bad season. It's just not what most people are expecting. I could see 8-4, 9-3 for LSU. Have a good returning quarterback, good head coach, but we'll see. On to you.
All right, my first overrated team, I have Colorado. I get it, they got Dion, but you got to give him a year to figure stuff out. He's turned around Jackson State pretty quickly, but it's a whole different world in a Power 5 conference playing football.
And in the FCS. He was at an FCS school.
1-11 last year. Whole new roster. 20 of 22 predicted starters are new players that I looked up there.
A lot.
I looked up their projected roster, and 20 of them are transfers. Very good cornerback room with Cormani McLean and Travis Hunter. Their recruiting class, or their transfer class, they have 1 5-star, 5 4-stars, and 44 3-stars. Changed their whole roster around almost.
You said 44?
Yes, 44. They have a brutal schedule, though. 5 games, I can see pretty big blowouts. Most people say 4-8. I definitely don't predict a bowl game. I just want to say that. I predict under 6 wins.
Yeah.
Probably under 5.
I'd probably say I'd go 3. I'd go 3.
Still better than 1-11, but
Yeah,
I just
it's
feel
an improvement.
The hype is a little too much. I mean, they're the only spring game on ESPN.
Yeah.
And they went 1-11 last year.
Smart on ESPN, though. Good marketing. My number 2 team, we're going the Tennessee Volunteers. Joe Milton. As a Michigan fan, he was not fun to watch. We kind of threw him into the fire a little early, but you cannot do that bad. He's got good arm talent, but he's got to put it all together. He's got to get the accuracy. He's got to be able to make reads. And at the end of the day, it's everything you do runs through your quarterback. So if your quarterback's not good, your team most likely won't be very good or as good as they could be with a good quarterback. And I think that's going to happen in Tennessee this year. I don't think Joe Milton will be as good as Hendon Hooker was last season, which those are big shoes to fill, but I don't think it'll happen.
With my number 2 team, I'm going with USC. Like I said before, I don't see a Lincoln Riley-led team winning a national title anytime soon. That defense has never been good under him. I don't know if it will ever be good under Lincoln Riley. He can recruit some good defensive pieces. You see that every year he gets a few 4 and 5 stars on defense. But they still can't figure it out. They're giving up 35 points to teams that they should have given up 7 or 14 to. They're just defense always fails Lincoln Riley coach teams. I have USC at 2.
Yeah, I just think he focuses too much on offensive firepower. But my number 3 team, actually going to contrast with what you said earlier in the podcast. We are going with North Carolina right here.
Interesting.
Drake May, obviously very good quarterback. I think he's the number 2 next year. Most people think that. I just don't think the talent around him is enough. They do play in a weaker ACC conference, but I don't know if he has the help around him to get the job done. I think they'll underperform again. See 7-5. I could see 10-2, but I think we'll see more of the 7-5 side.
My number 3 team, I'm going with the Tennessee Volunteers. Joe Milton is the determining factor, I would say.
Yep.
He's good, they'll be good. He's Michigan type bad. Like when he was
Michigan type bad.
Yeah. With him at Michigan, they won 2 games that year. So, yeah, that's my 3rd team. I don't have much more to say about him.
All right. Number 4, I got TCU here.
Interesting.
Obviously, lost Max Duggan. He was a very good quarterback. Could do it all, really. Had a top wide receiver, though. Quentin Johnson, he was a first-round pick. Those are big shoes to fill. He had a big game in the Fiesta Bowl against the Wolverines. Yeah, I don't think they have enough talent behind them to recreate what they did last year, which I don't think most people are expecting them to do that. But I think most people probably still have them in their top 25. I think they go 6-6.
All right. My 4th team, I have Notre Dame.
I was thinking about that.
Now, if somehow Ohio State loses this game, I know people are going to come right back to this. But I have Notre Dame. I think they're always overrated. They make the playoffs. They have that. They don't play in a conference, so they have a week off. They might go undefeated. Say an Ohio State team goes undefeated. They play a team in their conference title game, that extra game at the end of the year, and they lose it. Now Notre Dame gets in because they didn't have to play conference title game, but that Ohio State team that was very good and was undefeated through the whole year plays an extra game, doesn't get into the playoffs. I don't think that's right. They're always overrated. Every time they get in the playoffs, they get blown out or get beat. They're just not. They're just overrated.
I agree. I was actually thinking about putting them in my 5th spot, but decided to go with Colorado because I didn't know if I could really put them on here as overrated because I think it's kind of mixed. Some people think they're going to do good, make it to a bowl game. Some people think they're going to do awful. So I didn't know if I could put them on here. I decided to put them on here, though. Too much hype. I mean, like he said, only spring game on ESPN this year for a team that definitely has some talent and has some players that can get it done. But I don't think they should be getting this much hype.
All right. At number 5, in my last overrated team, I have Ole Miss, which you had on your underrated teams or dark horse teams. They need to get over that hump in the SEC. Are they always fairly good, 9-3 type team, 10-2 type team? Yes.
And they normally start off like 7-0.
Yeah, but then they have to play the Alabama, the Georgia, the LSU, and lately they haven't been able to get over the hump. They haven't been able to upset those teams and beat those Bamas, LSUs, Georgias. They need to get over that. They need to beat some of those teams, make a run, and so far under Lane Kiffin, I haven't seen that. They need to make a playoff. They need to live up to the hype, and I haven't seen that yet. So they're at my number 5.
I got you. Who brought chips in my room?
All right.
Who brought chips in my room?
Is your mic on?
Who brought chips in my room? All right.
Okay.
Wait, you already started it?
Yeah.
No.
This is a new type of thing we're trying here on the podcast. We put out questions on our Instagram story, our Instagram, out on the Instagram reel, out on the TikTok. And we had people put in either the comments or the question thing on the Instagram story, and we got some questions for the podcast, either college football related or not, whichever you wanted to ask. All right. So, our first question here is on our Instagram story, and it's by Aiden Spam 40, and it says, "Will USC and UCLA succeed in the Big Ten?" You start here, Philly.
I don't think their passing game, obviously, Pac-12 passing, Pac-12 offense is a lot more different than Big 12 or Big 10 offenses. I'm struggling.
Very different.
Big 10 offense is more run-oriented, Pac-12 more pass-oriented. I do think they'll succeed. I think one will succeed more than the other, but I think they'll both succeed at least to a certain extent.
You have to think about the weather and the travel.
They'll struggle in
the amount they're traveling for each game, the difference in weather. I mean, practicing in 95, 85 type degrees and then going to play in Minnesota is not gonna. It's a crazy difference.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to somehow get acclimated to that Big Ten type weather, and we'll see. I mean, I could see them succeeding, but I don't see them. I wouldn't see USC or UCLA winning a Big Ten title within the 3 years they joined the Big Ten.
I could see USC, not as much UCLA. I still don't think USC is as very likely, but I could see it.
Yeah. All right. Our second question here. That was a good question. Thanks for entering that. Second question here. It's kind of a statement. It's from D_Harv. Tennessee 11-1.
That's too hot.
With a new quarterback, a lot of teams have new quarterbacks out of the top teams this year, but with the players they lost, having Joe Milton as their starter, I could see 11-1. It wouldn't crazy surprise me because of what they did last year, but I'm going to say no.
And then also, with those new quarterbacks that you have, some of them you haven't seen play before, like actually get meaningful snaps in a game. With Joe Milton, you've seen that. He was a starter at Michigan for a little bit. You saw how he performed. I just don't know if he can step it up. He's got all the talent in the world, but
all the arm talent you could ever ask for.
Mm-hmm.
And he used it though. All right. Our next question is about the MLB. And it is from Tanner_Kleinman. And I'm just going to pass this question to Philly because he knows a lot more about the MLB than I do. World Series prediction. Philly is a Red Sox fan. Give him a second to think about it because it's pretty far away.
Give me, you know what? I'm gonna throw a wild one out there. Give me the Orioles, and then give me the Marlins.
Who's winning?
Orioles in 6.
Interesting.
5. Orioles in 5.
Orioles in 5. All right.
I think that'd be exciting.
Our next question is from a former special guest on this podcast. It is from LBP22204. Will the game ever happen in a national championship? If so, what year and who wins? So I'm going to break this down. Will it ever happen in a national championship? Is it likely? Yes. Is it going to happen? Probably. But it will definitely be weird. What year? I'm not going to take a guess on that. There's just too many years. It could take a while. Who wins? Obviously, I'm going to go with Ohio State. It's the national championship.
Here's my thoughts here.
I wouldn't really like it to be that happening because with no divisions in the Big Ten, if we made it to the playoffs, we could play each other 3 straight.
Oh, no.
Almost 3 straight. No, because the 12-team playoff. So it could be.
It still
could be like 3 out of 4 weeks we could play each other, something like that.
But what was the first part of the question?
Will it ever happen?
I say that if it's gonna happen, I think it'll have to happen next year.
With 4 teams.
With the field expanding 3 times the amount as much as it already is, if you want to make it all the way to the national championship game, you have to win 2 or 3 games compared to 1.
Plus your conference title game.
Yeah, against the top teams in the country. I mean, they're in the playoffs for a reason.
And the no division conference
we're
going to have with Ohio State and Michigan possibly playing.
You know what? I'm taking a guess at what year.
Okay.
I'm taking a shot. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
2034.
That is far away.
Michigan wins. 2034.
All right. Next question we have from Aiden Spam 40 again. With his second question, he says, who has the best mascot in college football? You see, I'm going to give 2 answers here because, one, my bias is obviously going to say Brutus. But I'm also going to say the Oregon Duck.
The Duck?
The Duck. He's got a very good character. He's pretty funny. You see him on College Game Day. He's always doing something goofy. All mascots are, but still. I got Brutus, and I got the Oregon Duck. What do you got, Billy?
I'm not going to lie.
Your team don't even have a mascot.
Give me Stanford.
The Pickle!
Give me Stanford.
That's an underrated one. Love the Pickles.
It's just a tree, bro.
Yeah, it's a pickle. All right. This is from Aiden Spam 40 again, his third question.
Okay.
When will Oregon win their first national championship?
I could see it this year. I'm not going to lie.
Whoa.
I could see it this year.
Unless Marcus comes back, I ain't seen it.
Nah, I could. If you sneak in as the 4, you don't play Georgia, you win, and then you move on. I could see them pulling something off. But then again, after this year,
after Bo Nix leaves,
it could be a long time.
Okay. All right, my answer here, Aiden Spam 40. I could see them winning one in the next 5 years. I could see it. Next 10 years. I mean, with the way they're going to have to step up their recruiting, though, the way that Georgia, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan are now recruiting on that level is going to have to be matched by Oregon, whether it's the NIL they need to give or whatever it is. They need to get more recruits in and bring some more in, make sure they don't flip to other places. So that's my answer. All right. Now we're going to go back to the comments of the Instagram reel we posted. And I'm pretty sure one of these is about, or this one is about the NFL. Who's your preseason pick for MVP? So that's NFL, right?
Should we just do Heisman and NFL MVP?
Sure.
I think NFL MVP, I'm gonna have to go Mahomes. I know it's boring, but I mean, he's probably gonna end up being the best quarterback in history.
I'm gonna go. I don't even know. I don't trust Josh Allen enough.
Too many turnovers.
Yeah. I'm gonna match that. I'm going Mahomes. It's boring, but
It's
I
the
mean, I don't
boring
really
pick,
know.
but I feel like it's the right pick.
And I'm gonna go with my Heisman now. I'm gonna go with Marvin Harrison Jr. Win the Heisman Trophy.
I don't want to be boring.
Mine was pretty boring, but
I'm gonna make it.
there's a lot of question marks in the quarterbacks because, I mean, last year it would have been easy. You'd say Bryce Young, but and then you could say Caleb Williams, but I don't see a back-to-back Heisman winner again.
Exactly. So that's why I'm taking another Pac-12 quarterback, Bo Nix.
You're really high on Oregon.
I am.
And now we passed all through those. Now we're into the TikTok questions. All right, this question is from Brody ONG. So his question says, is OSU going to live up to the hype this season? And he asked, when is the podcast going up? One, we don't know when the podcast is going up, but obviously if you're listening to this, it's up. And is OSU going to live up to the hype? The hype is kind of questionable for Ohio State this year. I've seen the predictions I see. I mean, craziest one has been 9-3, but
I saw a Michigan one that was 9-3.
Yeah. Other than that, I've seen losses to Penn State and a loss to Michigan. The Michigan one, it's a very reasonable pick. We've lost back-to-back years. So I say with the picks I've seen, it's been. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of them have been 10-2 with losses to Penn State and Michigan. I see us being better than that. I see 11-1, 12-0 season again, playoff again. Hopefully not a choke again, but I mean, I say we live up to the hype or even exceed that hype. Yes, it's weird bringing in a new quarterback, but I trust Ryan Day in his quarterback mind. I mean, he hasn't had a quarterback outside the first round to this point in his head coaching career. So, and I see that defense getting better under Coach Knowles in his second year. So, yeah, I say it lives up to the hype.
I'm not gonna lie. I could also see a 9-3. I don't think it'll happen, but I could see a scenario where it happens.
I just don't want to think about it.
Like, if you get Kyle McCord, first true road game. Might be the first
week
road
one.
game.
Week one, he goes to Indiana.
Notre Dame, first true road game. I could see it rattling him a little bit.
Could be Devin Brown though. You never know. First 3 weeks.
I could see it rattling either one of them. Neither of them have gotten meaningful snaps, played in a big game. I mean,
actually, played in a meaningful game, yeah, but Kyle McCord played an entire game. Yes, it was against a terrible team, but he still played an entire game, and we blew him out.
Oh my god!
He played a whole game.
All right, buddy.
It was meaningful snaps, but it wasn't a good game.
Snaps.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Wait.
Well, sorry.
I didn't answer the question yet. To answer the question, yes, I think they'll live up to the hype. I'm going 11-1 probably.
Because even if we go 11-1, I see us still making the Big Ten, or not. If it's to Michigan, we obviously wouldn't make the Big Ten title game, but I see us making the playoffs with an 11-1 record.
But then at that point, it really just depends on how the rest of the field plays.
I mean, this year, people after that Michigan game, everyone's doubting us, and we very easily could have won the national title. 3 points away, a field goal away, and we had a national title. We're not going to lose to that TCU team. I'm telling you right now, we would not have lost to them. Michigan shouldn't have lost to them, so we would not have lost to them.
Here's my take on that. I think that TCU last year, I think that they were better whenever they had time to game plan, like a long time. Just going week to week, that's why they were always in close games. I don't think they prepped good enough for their games, but with that
then they had that turnaround to play Georgia and they got killed.
With that month time span, they had time to game plan for Michigan and know what they were going to do and all that stuff and that was bad. And counter what they need to do. or counter what Michigan's going to do. Georgia game, week right after, got killed.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone had them winning anyways, but 65-7.
That's not a championship.
No one wants to watch that. The semifinal games made up for it, though. Those are probably some of the best semifinal games we've seen in a minute.
Yeah. This isn't even a question. I don't even know if we can answer this. It's from Free Thugger. It just says Joe Burrow and Jalen Ramsey getting injured at training camp. Thoughts on it? Burrow will be back in 3 to 4 weeks or something like that. I don't know.
Ramsey will be out for a minute.
But Ramsey will be back December, something like that.
Yeah, Burrow, I don't think it'll affect the Bengals too much. Now, the Dolphins...
It looked very scary, but with that diagnosis, it's not as bad.
The Dolphins, though, I think it could definitely affect them. I mean, Xavier Howard on one side of the ball, or on one side of the corner, and then you have Cam Smith. I think he'll probably play opposite of Xavier Howard. I think he could fill the role in, but obviously he's not going to be what Jalen Ramsey would be.
Yeah. All right. And last question from TikTok is from TPatrick12. What is the future of the conferences if everyone is jumping ship? I say Pac-12 dies.
Yeah, I think Pac-12 is gone.
It's going to be the Power 4 because of what's happening in the Pac-12 right now. And then the Big 12 is not making as much money as the SEC or Big 10, and neither is the ACC. So I could see some stuff shaking up in both of those. I mean, you had 7 ACC teams, 2 months ago, try to leave?
Yeah, and we saw where Florida State still does not want to be in the ACC. They're trying to move, but I don't think the SEC will take a team that is not making more money than Oklahoma or Texas. So I think SEC stays unless you can make more than Oklahoma or Texas. Now, the Big Ten, I could see them bringing in Oregon and bringing in Washington.
Notre Dame, possibly.
Maybe Notre Dame, but I think Notre Dame likes their playoff spots too much.
Yeah. And their money on
what do I think will happen to the rest of Pac-12? I'd say Oregon State, they'd probably be able to move into the Big 12.
But the thing you have to think about now is regions or whatever does not matter anymore. Because UCLA and USC joining, it's all about money.
Yep.
And I think that you need,
on the other side of the country.
In college football, you need it. Right now, they just have the NCAA above everything, which they're above every sport. There needs to be something above college football. Joel Klatt talked about it, and staying with Ryan Day, there needs to be something above college football that can watch everything that's happening with NIL, make sure there's no giving people money before they're even on campus, or guaranteeing them money to come on campus. I mean, and that's just part of the problem. Everything's turning into just about money and not about football. And that's what it should be about.
I agree.
And I just think whatever brings the most money is wherever the team's going to go. I see some of the smaller teams in the Big Ten possibly leaving and going somewhere else. But the bigger teams in the SEC and the Big Ten, I think they're locked in. And the SEC and Big Ten is why everyone's leaving, because they're not making as much money as either of those conferences, especially the ACC. They're falling behind.
Yeah, I think most of the Pac-12 will end up in the Big 12, though.
Yep. Good?
Good.
That was a good question. All right. Back to the Instagram story, because I forgot about that. Who's winning the NFC South?
You can either have Bryce Young lead the Panthers to it. You could have Desmond Ridder step up, fill a role with the Falcons. Good core around them.
Oh, gosh.
The Saints, new quarterback, Derek Carr, veteran presence. I think they have a good defense, good running back, obviously. Buccaneers, I think they'll get last. Baker Mayfield, not a very good quarterback. Give me the Falcons.
I'm going to go here, and I'm going to say this is a pretty easy choice for me. I'm going with the Saints.
I'm going Falcons.
If they can get Michael Thomas off his butt, he'll go out there and play.
That ain't happening.
Have new QB. I mean, other teams, they're fresh new quarterbacks, haven't played a bunch of snaps. I mean, Baker Mayfield's there, but it's just Baker Mayfield. He helped the Browns, but so far on other teams, he hasn't done anything. So
Yep.
I don't know. I say the Saints.
I'm taking the Falcons. Desmond Ridder, I think he'll take a leap second year under the new system. Bijan Robinson, obviously, very good running back. I saw a thing the other day where he is set to be the highest paid running back in the league this year as a rookie. Top 10 pick this year. Kyle Pitts, obviously, freak of an athlete. Upgraded on the defense, traded the former number 3 overall pick, or traded for the number 4.
Yep.
Whoa. Traded for the former number 3 overall pick, Jeff Okudah. Gave
lockdown
a 5th rounder for him.
He's I'm telling you, he's underrated. On the Lions, he didn't get to show his potential.
Maybe it was just the system. I don't know. We'll have to see. AJ Terrell, he's been playing good these past couple years. Brought in Jesse Bates through free agency, Grady Jarrett.
Put them side by side. I mean, that's just a really good corner.
I'm taking Atlanta.
I can see them going second. Now, this question, it says, it's from Caden Pennington. Do you think Will Levis will win the Heisman this year?
What does that mean?
You see, because he's not in college, I'm not seeing that happening because it's not possible.
Will Levis is trash.
Thank you. I mean, I could see him being all right backup or bridge quarterback for some teams.
I could see him winning the MVP in the Canadian Football League.
Oh, okay. That's your answer. Back to the Instagram reel comments.
I'm sorry, Will Levis.
This is the last question we have until we do our record predictions. This is a pretty good one to end off on. This is from Sumo Johnny. Who's going to be Rookie of the Year? Back to the NFL for this one.
Are we going to do offense and defense? Because they have an offensive rookie and defensive rookie.
Sure.
All right. Give me Bijan, offensive rookie of the year.
I'm going to match that. Bijan.
Give me Christian Gonzalez, Patriots corner. 17th overall pick, I'm pretty sure. Slipped a little far down the board. I would have taken him top 10.
Who was the second defensive player off the board?
Devin Witherspoon.
I feel like Will Anderson's too obvious, though. I don't even know. I'm going to go with Will Anderson.
All right.
Might be a little too obvious, but he was very good in college, very good overall, very good player. That just sound like Luke right there, but I'm going Will Anderson. Now we head into our record. That's on you. We head into our record predictions here. Luke, spin that wheel for Dawson.
New Mexico State.
Oh my God!
I swear I
no, you didn't.
New Mexico State before.
He gets New Mexico State.
No. I don't want to do New Mexico State.
They're so bad.
My gosh.
We got good teams last week.
And we got bad teams the first week, so I guess it's going to go bad, good, bad, good.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, they got lucky. They play UMass in week 1 or week 0. Give me New Mexico State.
1 or no?
Western Illinois. They are a FCS team. Give me New Mexico State.
2-0.
New Mexico State on the road against Liberty. That's an L.
2-1.
Against their rivals, New Mexico. I'm taking New Mexico.
2-2.
New Mexico State, Hawaii. That's a dub. New Mexico State.
3-2.
They have a winning record right now. Don't know how. New Mexico State, FIU. FIU's terrible. New Mexico State again.
4-2.
This is weird. Sam Houston. Lose. Sam Houston.
4-3.
New Mexico State, UTEP. Lose there.
4-4.
New Mexico State, Louisiana Tech. Lost there.
4-5.
Middle Tennessee State, New Mexico State at home. Loss at home.
4-6.
New Mexico State, Western Kentucky. That's another loss.
4-7.
New Mexico State, Auburn. Another loss.
4-8.
New Mexico State and Jacksonville State. Give me Jacksonville State.
4-9 because of the stupid Hawaii rule. They played 13 games.
Hawaii rule's weird. I don't get it.
I don't get it either, but they're 4-9. As we move on to me, Luke.
Spin that wheel.
Temple.
Temple, dude. Jeez. I don't know nothing about them.
Oh my god.
Temple, week 1 against Akron. I'm going to give them the win.
1-0.
Rutgers, that's a loss. 1-1. Norfolk State, that's a win. 2-1. Miami, loss. 2-2. Tulsa, win. 3-2. UTSA, loss. 3-3. North Texas, loss. 3-4.
Mm-hmm.
SMU, loss. 3-5. Navy, loss. 3-6. South Florida, loss. 3-7. UAB, loss. Actually,
That's
I'm gonna
3-8.
go UAB win.
4-7.
4-7. Memphis, loss.
4-8.
4-8 for Temple. That closes out this episode.
Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're still here, we really appreciate it. Yeah. We'll see you on the next one.